This music is very, very meticulous. Oh, they're building that up again. What's up, guys? Yep, I'm here. It's me. Yeet. 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 Am I? I don't think I'm gonna be bleeding out of anything. His name is Calcifer, like the Ghibli character. A Hydra experiment gaining ability to control fire and such via dragon DNA. Hydra using well, I mean, I guess Hydra would be the type to use, like, Fin Fang Foom or something for experimentation.
Late for your appointment. Very rude. Well, seeing as you're here now, we might as well get started.
Was Fin Fang Foom in the
Tell
MCU?
me about your childhood. Anything
I think he was.
stand out? Ooh, is that a tear I see? Too painful? We'll come back to it later. How about
Ends up
Baby
escaping,
Boy,
becomes
then? Oh, that you
Shield,
were shocked to
Infinity
see
War
him,
Endgame,
weren't you?
and Spider-Man movies.
So,
So, here's what I have to say. I've made this opinion very known amongst people who know me. I do not like Tom Holland as Spider-Man. Not because I dislike Tom Holland or the way that he does his work as the character, but because the plot of those movies is so bland and arbitrary that anything that happens in them is immediately just overshadowed by anything else. That, like, in 6 films, one movie had any permanent consequences that weren't your villain instantly dying. It is far too often in Spider-Man media that his villains die within the same movie they are introduced. Because that's not how it works. And the other thing is, the way that they made Peter Parker in the MCU, they basically just stole Miles Morales' story and gave it to Peter Parker. Like, removing Uncle Ben as the tragedy, the crux that makes Peter want to be a good person, is in itself a logical fallacy to the character. And then on top of that, when you make Aunt May the crux of him being a good person or becoming Spider-Man, quote-unquote, you take away his reason for continuing to fight. See, because at this point, what does Tom Holland have? Because his friends, everyone he knows forgot him. He no longer has Tony Stark, which was a Miles thing to begin with, and also earlier a Peter Parker thing. And you've taken away every reason for him to continue, and he's never had that big moment of, like, I have to do this. He just does it because. Tom Holland in the MCU has no reason to be a hero. He just is. And, like, that's fine and dandy, but that's not how Spider-Man is. Spider-Man's whole thing is responsibility. Tom Holland doesn't feel responsibility, he just does what he wants. He just does the things. Or at least I feel he didn't have a moment where it defined him as Spider-Man. Which is why I will stand by the Marvel Spider-Man PS4 game being the de facto Spider-Man game of all time. And by that logic, also the de facto story. Thank you for coming to my TED Talk. Now back to beating up Blackgate prisoners in a mental hospital.
What's the deal with Dead Man's Point? It's been a favorite suicide location in Arkham Island for over 100 years.
Yeah, I know. I once saved an unfortunate inmate from leaping off into the rocks below. I found a cave entrance, and over the years have moved a number of supplies here.
A number of supplies? What does that even mean,
away
brother?
from home.
It's a home away from... Is this your idea of a vacation, Bruce? We need to schedule you an appointment with a therapist here. If this is your idea of therapy. By the way, we're gonna go get this Riddler puzzle right here. What do you mean? It's a seesaw. Itchy nose. Tweedledum and Tweedledee. So, very fun fact. A lot of Batman characters, a lot of Batman villains in particular, are based on nursery rhymes. Like, there's Humpty Dumpty, there's Tweedledee and Tweedledum. I believe there was... I can't think of any nursery rhymes, but I'm sure they exist as a character in the DC universe. And, personally, we're gonna... Because this is going back to the messed up thing that Joker did to get in here. I personally feel that the single most messed up villain in all of DC lore is and will always be Professor Pig.
You make me blush, Doc. I have a girlfriend.
Dr. Quinzel, I know. I've seen the tapes. I saw what happened.
What can I say? I'm a charmer.
Anyway, I thought it would be good to talk about your childhood.
Oh, ever heard of romance, Doc? I don't give up the goods for
I want some horchata.
You'll have to try harder.
What are you hiding?
Didn't you hear me? You scratch my back, Doc, and, well, I won't have you wrapped in plastic and left in a gutter.
How thoughtful, Joker. The Batman, Warden Quincy Sharp, this is Frank Bowles, Killer Croc, Harley, Great White Shark, let's see, Firefly, a.k.a. Garfield wins, Tweedledee and Tweedledum. Let's see, what's this? Yeah, Kelsey ends up getting into Gotham by Wanda. Okay, so she breaks the multiverse. So he's like American Dragon Jake Long. Hush. Hush is a good character. I didn't like the Batman Hush DCU film. This is Jack Ryder. He was the creep. I didn't like Hush in the Hush animated film because they just made it the Riddler, which is... I always think that trying to pull the wool over the audience's eyes like that is distasteful. Because everyone who does know that Thomas Elliot is Hush should have been able to be like, yep, I was right. But instead they made it Edward Nygma for no reason other than, it's not Thomas Elliot. It didn't have to happen. Scarecrow is one of my favorite characters in the DC cinematic universe. Bane is pretty cool. We love Luchador Bane. That's Riddler, Gordon, Babs, Bruce Wayne, Cash, and Saz. I just wanted to clear all the novelty stuff. I mean, there's nothing wrong with that. It's like, because when you were explaining the character, right, I got the vibes of, like, Danny Phantom meets Jake Long. Because, like, rather than him being from a line of dragons, he got his DNA manipulated, which is the Danny Phantom aspect, because Danny's DNA became a ghost, not him.
So, you have given in and taken my map. I hope
Given
it
in.
proves useful.
Get him on the ground and stomp on his face!
You're gonna stomp my face? That's messed up. You're gonna curb stomp me? Bam. Oh. And wrecked. I enjoy Scarecrow, the Fear Toxin, Joker Toxin are terrifying. The Joker Toxin, I think, is more terrifying than the Fear Toxin because it's going to be consistent every time. Fear Toxin, and this is morbid, but honestly, this is how I feel about it. The Fear Toxin could be theoretically used to help people who are, like, part of the Bat family overcome fear. Because, like, it's going to make the worst of the worst fear appear for you, right? So, if you beat that in a controlled environment... Whereas the Joker Toxin is 9 times out of 10 going to kill you, and you are going to be completely aware of it every single time. Or Spirit of Amadeus Arkham.
Ran through the heart of Gotham. We were doctors, politicians, and teachers.
I'm kind of right.
Been the organ,
yeah, I mean,
cleaning the
I have. Don't ever take it offensively. I'm not trying to say that your character is like is this thing or is that thing. I just like to draw connections between things because there's nothing wrong with being inspired by other stuff. And it's never constant, so I have to make new antidotes every time. Right. Because, and here's the thing, right? I've always hated the concept of the Joker Toxin for this reason alone. Why is Joker suddenly a neurochemist? Why can he just make this stuff? Who's producing this for him? Or you unless you buy into the 3 Jokers thing and one of them is a neurochemist. Yeah. Because, like, to me, it's almost like paying homage to something previously, right? Like, I have a bunch of characters for stuff that I plan on making in the future. If I ever get the means to. Excuse me, I'm trying not to burp because I'm drinking Dr. Pepper. If I ever get the means to, there's a bunch of TV shows and a bunch of, like, comic books and stuff I want to make. I'm actually writing a comic right now. And I want to tell my stories and get that stuff out there. And they are all inspired very heavily by the media that I consume. This is loud. Computer. Open the stone wall.
Identity confirmed. Disabling countermeasures.
Oh, right, and back to the Joker toxin thing, with them having to make a new antidote or anti-serum or anything to it. Most of the time, there's no cure. A lot of times, if you get hit with Joker toxin, it's just over. That's why Batman takes it more serious than fear toxin. Because fear toxin, you have a high chance of surviving. It's got a high survivability rate. Whereas Joker toxin has like a 90% kill rate or something like that. Oh, man. Seeing this in the early 2000s, this is what, well, I guess this was the late 2000s. But seeing this in the late 2000s blew everyone's mind. It's what happened with Duke's parents. Exactly. So yeah, that's what I'm saying, is like, a lot of times it's just, you're not getting away if you get hit with the Joker toxin. Joker toxin is no joke.
Dr. Young was heading up a project.
Ironically.
It was big. Lots of external funding. Here are the last notes she filed. I can't make sense of it. What does it mean?
Looks like she was experimenting on the Arkham patients. This new chemical only barely resembles the original venom compound.
There are a number of changes that appear to amplify the strength of the drug. Multiple references to a Titan formula. Even a small amount.
Man, I wish there was some kind of platform where we could host, like, oh, I wonder if on Discord I could do that.
Bane requires.
Ooh, that would be cool. If I get enough, if I get something together, maybe we could do like a I don't know, a member Discord night or something.
If Joker gets his hands
and I'll
on
like
this,
put up shows or something, or we'll watch stuff. I love scary content. I love horror content, so I'm probably, after I do this game, probably going to go watch some analog horror or something, and I might do that on stream. I'm not sure. I haven't decided yet. I'd love to get back to playing the Faith trilogy, because if anyone saw the TikTok where I was posting that I was going live, I was talking about needing to finish that for the channel, because years and years ago, before the Unholy Trinity was a thing in Faith, I had played the original Faith and Faith 2 on the channel, at least partially through. I can't remember if I finished Faith 2. But since then, they've been updated very heavily. And the Unholy Trilogy adds a bunch of content and more fixes discrepancies in the story and makes it all canon. Also nerfs a lot of boss fights that were incredibly infuriating and difficult. So I'll have to check that out at some point, because it's on Steam. I think it's like 15 or 20 bucks. I also need to do Poppy Playtime Chapter 2, or Chapter 4. I need to finish Chapter 3 and play Chapter 4. And then the new Five Nights at Freddy's game is coming out too, so I need to do that. I probably need to finish FNAF 4 at some point.
Sorry, boss.
I don't know if I have the stomach to. I'm a coward when it comes to horror. I mean, hey, understandable. Horror is terrifying. That's the point. It's horrifying, you know what I mean? But that's just what I like, being scared. I love horror games. I love horror media. It's one of the reasons I love Scarecrow as a character, because when he's done right, he's terrifying.
The effects were felt everywhere. My father felt
now that
infected by some foul disease.
I'm gonna let him finish talking, and then I'm gonna go on my rant about Scarecrow and Arkham Knight.
But only in a dream. I returned to the family home to care for her, where she remained in her bed for as long as her body continued to breathe. Her tears kept me awake at night.
So, here's my one negative thing to say about Scarecrow in Arkham Knight. The fear toxin being used for that intro sequence was one of the coolest things to ever happen to Scarecrow as a character, because it made him actually terrifying. But on the other hand, it was literally the only time we had a major lasting effect from Scarecrow's fear toxin. Because we never got affected by it again. Ever since Arkham Asylum here, we haven't had a good use of the fear toxin on our character. I feel that there definitely should have been a point where Batman was directly affected by the fear toxin, and it did some kind of, like, mess the whole world up type deal. Like, maybe directly after, you know, the first time that he gets hit, we have this little, like, fear thing to go through, and he's like, oh, I'm never doing that again. Because then we'd have a reason to not have it in the rest of the game. And I get that the idea, minor spoiler, I would mute for a couple seconds if you don't want to hear anything about the story for Arkham Knight, because we're going to go through and play that at some point. Scarecrow, his toxin didn't do anything to Bruce Wayne. Seeing Joker in Arkham Knight is purely because of the Joker blood in Batman from Arkham City.
The payments came from a company owned by Mr. Jack White.
One of Joker's oldest aliases.
So, reaction to
Joker pays Dr. Young to create his army, and then all of a sudden he stops. Doesn't make any sense.
So his reaction to the fear toxin, instead of fight or flight, he triggers fight response. That's dangerous. You got to be careful with that, because if you fight in the Joker fear in Scarecrow's fear toxin, you could be attacking close relatives or close loved ones. That's the whole point, is that he can make you see things that are horrifying, and you will fight back, and you will have murdered your entire family before you know what happened. So, that's where you got to be careful with the fight response when it comes to Scarecrow. That's honestly what makes Scarecrow such a dangerous villain, is because you never know if you're actually fighting him or if he's manipulating your mind in some way, which I think is a cool aspect of any character. Puzzle has many sides, but only some are visible. Alright, we're gonna get the special combo takedown. I can start breaking people's spines.
Puzzling, isn't it?
There we go. Antidote before he could cause much damage. I mean, that's fair. However, when Bruce first encounters... So here's the thing that a lot of people like to argue. I'm a Batman fan, obviously. Batman cannot beat everything. That's something a lot of fans have a fallacy for. But with prep time, he could... Yeah, theoretically, yes. With enough prep time, Bruce could do literally anything, because that's the point of his character. However, a big thing that people forget about is the ingenuity of the character. It's why he doesn't die the instant he fights any of his villains. And granted, if he was to get speed... Like, for example, let's say Bloodlusted Superman just speed blitzes Batman and annihilates him right there on the spot. Just completely annihilates him, atomizes his body. There's nothing he could do. There's physically nothing Bruce could do against that. And people that argue against that have a problem. Because Batman physically cannot keep up with these metahumans. That's the whole point of him doing things like making himself as strong as physically possible, or making these fail-safes or these contingency plans and coming up with ideas for things that don't exist. It's so that he can counter these things. And that's also why the fail-safe robot exists, but we don't talk about that because that was kind of stupid in my opinion. Especially, well, it's stupid with a quotation, because it brought Zur-En-Arr back, and I think Zur-En-Arr is a really funny character, even when he's overly serious. Especially considering Zur-En-Arr used to be an alien.
And a drawing of some kind of donkey.
No mystery why she's so scared. I'm coming up to the surface. I'll find her.
Easy. A blind man would have stumbled over that one.
No, he would. Riddler, I really need your contrivances and your ego to shut up. You need to shut your face up. Riddler. Did I say Joker? I meant Riddler. I don't know. They're all a joke to me. But why? Why did I just fall there? Can we talk about why I just fell there? What happened? What did that?